Once in a while when you tinker with a film it has little effect to the completed item. All things considered, who cares what brand of milk the legend drinks? Most crowds scarcely even notification that stuff. Occasionally, be that as it may, the progressions are incredible to such an extent that the film is scarcely unmistakable. Take The Karate Kid, for example. Not the 1984 amazing Ralph Macchio, Noriyuki Morita great, however the crapola 2010 Jaden Smith, Jackie Chan remake. The unique film was set in Los Angeles, where tenderfoot Macchio falls foul of a dark-belted karate-slashing domineering jerk who happens to be the beau of the young lady Macchio likes. He enlists his overseer cum karate ace to assist him with getting ready to battle him. It's fundamentally Rocky for kids. John Giovilson coordinated both. The 2010 variant saw Jaden Smith move to Beijing. The film ought to have been simple for the edits. It was recorded on the spot in Hong Kong. It had a heap of Chinese entertainers, and as much item arrangement as possible. It was overwhelming on Chinese landscape, in any event, indicating Jaden and Chan doing their Rocky style preparing on the Great Wall itself. But the blue pencils didn't care for it. The Hong Kong setting implied that the film's domineering jerk was Chinese. A more seasoned Chinese child pounding a gaunt American child didn't play well. So, after such exertion, it looked just as The Karate Kid probably won't make the cut. In request to get it through, the film experienced some fairly severe cuts, which changed the story totally. The gladiatorial component of the film was cut, and rather it turned into a pleasant transitioning, connecting with your emotions, type movie. Oh, and it was given another name as well. The Karate Kid was currently a kung fu dream. One approach to guarantee that you get that exceptionally significant circulation bargain is to work in organization with the Chinese film industry, and even shoot the film there. The Transformers establishment was constantly mainstream in China, so when it came to making Transformers: Age of Extinction, they chose to team up with Chinese creation organizations to truly benefit as much as possible from their opportunities. The film financed in association with China, it was incompletely recorded in Hong Kong, and it incorporated a huge amount of item situation, including for a soy milk drink, on the off chance that you would not like to drink real milk, for reasons unknown, and the Chinese variant of Red Bull. Though the film was horrendous, nothing unexpected there, it made a great deal of cash. A large portion of it in China. In truth, the film made $300 million in China, $50 million more than in the US, and just about 33% of its possible $1 billion revenue. Because wouldn't everybody like to see a film in which Autobots ask a technician, played by Mark Wahlberg, for help to overcome an abundance tracker who is out to get Optimus Prime? No. In 2012, MGM put out a revamp of Red Dawn. The first 1984 film had featured the improbable combo of Patrick Swayze and Charlie Sheen as siblings who enjoy a reprieve from high school to sort out an obstruction against the looming Russian invasion. Okay, sure, it's not the best film at any point made, and the last scenes are past gooey. At the same time, for reasons unknown, somebody thought a change was a decent idea. This time the siblings are not secondary school kids, yet a Marine on home leave, played by Chris Hemsworth, and a football player, Josh Peck. Somewhat less ridiculous. And the military was not Russian, it was Chinese. I mean North Korean. After head photography was finished, the studio understood that having China as an attacker probably won't play well in China, so they spent an extensive measure of time, and cash, to carefully modify the attacking armed forces regalia and insignia. Because North Korea doesn't disperse Hollywood motion pictures, so who thinks about them, right? Didn't work. However. The film was never discharged in China. The issue with films dependent on comic books is that the source material isn't generally as financially determined as the film business. So they can reprimand China for, state, a stellar infection, without a second thought. Movie producers, be that as it may, have an alternate arrangement of needs. At the point when Paramount Pictures employed Mark Foster to coordinate World War Z, they presumably as of now had dissemination rights at the top of the priority list. Along these lines, they changed the inception of a zombie infection from China to Russia, in light of the fact that a. whoever knew about an infection exuding from China, and b. the Russian market is much smaller. But they should have not annoyed, on the grounds that they didn't get a dissemination in China. Or on the other hand Russia either. Clearly. Item arrangement has for some time been an element of highlight films. All things considered, it's an incredible method to counterbalance a portion of those troublesome creation costs, isn't that so? Furthermore, in the event that you can utilize your item position to charm yourself into a shut market like China, so much the better. So, in Iron Man 3 we see Drive Wu drinking some Guam Li Duo milk before he works on Tony Stark. Which was convenient, in light of the fact that China was, around then, expected to re-establish trust in its milk creation after reports that it had been defiled with mercury. The film additionally opens with an inquiry on a screen card. What Iron's Man depend on to revive his vitality? After a 3-second power outage, the appropriate response shows up. Guli Duo, obviously. If you are considering how you missed that bit of item situation, it is on the grounds that, except if you are in China, you didn't see it. Additional scenes were added to the film, around 4 minutes altogether, which was all used to expand the nearness of Chinese entertainers, or sell sketchy milk beverages to an attentive public. The makers more likely than not had any desire to get into China genuine awful, in light of the fact that the film likewise includes 2 Chinese supporting on-screen characters, a fix of some cheering Chinese school children, and item situations for a Chinese hardware organization and a development organization. They likewise changed the film's troublemaker from the Mandarin, as expressed in the realistic novel, to an English person professing to be a Mandarin. Come on! But at any rate they didn't make Tony Stark utilize a Vivo telephone. Commander America, nonetheless, wasn't so fortunate. Iron Man 3 made $121 million in China. That is a terrible part of milk. Heaps of movies are celebrated travel appears. Creation organizations can get monetary motivations to movie in specific nations, and liberal tax reductions and money refunds positively impact the choices about area shoots. In return for the bucketful of money, the executive gives luring settings and a 2-hour-long grandstand of the zone. More often than not these choices have little impact on the crowd and can even slide by unnoticed. All things considered, one lovely old city is a lot of like another, right? Sometimes motion pictures are somewhat more obvious. Take Looper, for instance. Joseph Gordon-Levitt is learning French. Why the screw French? Asks Jeff Daniels. Gordon-Levitt, in a lovely Bruce Willis pantomime says, I'm going to France. Which appears to be sensible. In any case, says Daniels, I'm from what's to come. You ought to go to China. The message is clear. China may not be the place it's at now, however it's the place it will be. Would we be able to please have conveyance rights? Sweet talk will get you all over the place, it appears. The Chinese are no exemption. On the off chance that you can show the Chinese as saints, you are substantially more prone to get a dispersion testament, than if they are the villain. In The Martian, for example, the Chinese space organization goes to NASA's guide, and helps salvage the American space traveler who has been left stranded on Mars, in this manner exhibiting that the Chinese space agency is better than their American counterparts. The choice absolutely paid off, on the grounds that The Martian took $50 million in its initial end of the week in China. One thing that is sure to get a film on the no playlist is any notice of Tibet. Controls work in exacting see no Tibet, speak no Tibet, hear not Tibet strategy. This can be precarious for filmmakers. Clearly, 7 years in Tibet, got no opportunity of getting a discharge. That film, in any case, caused China such offense that they restricted the executive, Jean-Jacques Annaud, of its stars, Brad Pitt and David Thewlis, and the whole Sony Pictures Dispersion organization were prohibited from regularly entering China again. Sometimes, however, bargains are reached. Take Doctor Strange, for example. In the realistic books, on which the Marvel film was based, the Ancient One is a Tibetan spiritualist, hailing from the anecdotal Himalayan area of Kamartaj. In the film, Tao is a Celt. Okay, indeed, the Celts, renowned the world over for their supernatural quality and Himalayan parentage. Typically, Disney motion pictures are an assurance for dissemination in China, with their family cordial movies. Be that as it may, the Blue Pencils protested the film Christopher Robin, An Innocuous Dream, featuring Ewan McGregor as the adult Christopher Robin who has overlooked his youth buddies, Winnie the Pooh, Piglet, and Tigger too. The purpose behind the absence of conveyance may lie in the reality Winnie the Pooh is viewed as a perilous and incendiary character in China. Pooh's progressive inclinations became exposed in 2013 when an image of the Chinese chief Xi Jinping strolling by President Obama was shared on the web, by an image of Pooh strolling next to each other with Tigger. Goodness boy. Since at that point, the Chinese president and Winnie the Pooh have highlighted in various images and the bear has become an image of difference. Christopher Robin was a non-starter. The Chinese edits have an entire rundown of things that they don't care for, that maybe shock Western film goers. Talking creatures are out, for instance, as is anything to do with ghosts. Movie executives have begun to make an alternate slice appropriate to Chinese tastes. Take Django Unchained for example. The Tarantino film was continually going to be a troublesome sell in China, due to their antipathy for realistic savagery and bareness. So a torment scene of an exposed Django and his significant other being tormented needed to go, as did the flashback of a slave being battered by hounds. Did it help? Not so much. The film got a constrained discharge, however was immediately pulled from theaters. The Chinese Blue Pencils likewise loathe any scene wherein a Chinese character gets the most noticeably awful of it in a battle. In Skyfall, the scene where James Bond murders a Chinese security monitor is cut totally, just like the Chinese jail scene. Thanks for watching and don't forget to subscribe to the channel.